Hey ma fuggles, I just wanted to opine on fakesagan's recent flop of an ownage video that he removed from his channel in less than 24 hours. This is the most hilarious example of hypocrisy and general failure that you'll see. For all you kids out there, this is what not to do on YouTube. So Fakey says he hates Coughlin666 and he decided to jump in on the Amazing Atheist drama one more time and grab some attention for himself. But the video he put out was the most pathetic excuse for an ownage video you can imagine. It was boring, stale, rambling, unimaginative bullshit. The insults were lazy and they fell flat, and he had no actual points to make, he had no ammunition, and everybody called him on it. The second video he made to Coughlin wasn't any better, but I'll get to that later. So fakesagan's sitting on camera wearing his SWAT team helmet that he bought at some army surplus store as if he's ready for battle. It just makes him look like a silly little twerp stuck in Fantasyland. So he says that he smells blood in the water. Basically, what Fakey's gonna do is swim up like a toothless shark and gum Coughlin's leg until Coughlin sprays some shark repellent on his face and he swims off to eat some plankton. That's what happened here. Fakey starts talking wrestling metaphors, saying that the Amazing Atheist just gave Coughlin a stone-cold stunner and he's gonna run in and tombstone pile drive him. He says he wants to finish Coughlin and make him leave YouTube. Just a bunch of useless talk, which is interesting because in his newer video he tells Coughlin,
You know, don't sing it, bring it.
Singing it is all Fakey does through his whole video. Well, that's not exactly true. He also babbles about his blog TV appearance, about how he deleted the recordings because they weren't up to his high standards of art that he likes to maintain. I guess he thinks art is wearing a cowboy hat and giving his boring videos an orange tint. Oh, he also talks about his hats for a while, as if anyone gives a fuck. So next he brings up the fact that Coughlin put a picture of him in one of his videos and asked, "Who wants to fuck this guy?" And he goes on about how he wanted to defend his sex life. "Well, plenty of women have had sex with me, so empirical evidence obviously disproves your insinuation, blah blah blah." He explains that he couldn't defend his sex life because Coughlin has him blocked. So the resourceful twit that he is, he used his other account and exchanged comments with Coughlin about how many girls have had low enough standards to let him penetrate them. But get this, when he went to check those comments later, oh noes, they had been removed. Sort of like he removed this entire failure of an ownage video. So he says some shit about how he doesn't have to cross the Atlantic to get some pussy, which is true, because he's gonna marry a hayseed who's famous on YouTube for being a ditzy psychotic skank. Well done, fakesagan, turn a hoe into a housewife. So now he's set the stage with tough talk about pile driving and blood and guts and finishing Coughlin off, stepping on his trachea, running him off of YouTube. So what does all this build up lead to? He calls Coughlin a pussy some more and says that he's too sensitive to be on the internet making YouTube videos. He explains that he made a poll for his viewers asking if he was a douchebag, and 57% of respondents called him a douchebag. But what's the obvious explanation for this? He says it's that his audience knows he's not a sensitive little pussy. It couldn't possibly be that at least 57% of people who watch him actually think he's a douchebag. Hell no. See how fucking lame this guy is? He just talks nonsense constantly. So then he pulls out the big guns on Coughlin and makes fun of the guy's facial blemish. He compares him to Two-Face from Batman and says he should wear a half mask like the Phantom of the Opera. That's essentially the meat of the whole video. He references a fucking artsy musical to make fun of Coughlin's birthmark or mole or whatever the fuck that thing on his face is. Then Fakey does a phony reaction to his own weak insult, calling it distasteful and saying, "Oh, I went there." It wasn't distasteful, it was limp and impotent. And I wonder if fakesagan considered the fact that the masked analyst, one of his YouTube idols, actually does wear a mask because his face is scarred up. Way to be sensitive to your friends, Chris. So that's the bomb that he drops. Coughlin should be like the Phantom of the Opera. Then Fakey ends his video by repeating that Coughlin is a sensitive, ugly pussy and should get off YouTube. He isn't a shark that smells blood. If anything, he jumped the shark when he screamed about punching Captain Awesome for turning his fiancée into an unwitting internet porn skank. I don't think you can even say he jumped the shark, because that implies he had something going in the first place. He's always been stale and useless. So his video had 3 stars or less when he removed it less than a day later. Who's the sensitive pussy exactly? The motherfucker couldn't let a failed video sit on his channel for even 24 hours. As I said, the next video he made to Coughlin wasn't any better. He spends the first chunk of it explaining why he didn't make the video sooner, as if we give a shit. Then he spends about 5 minutes supposedly refuting Coughlin's subscriber boast. Except that Coughlin didn't boast about his larger subscriber count. All Coughlin said was that Fake Sagan didn't bother to come after him until his subscriber count was larger, which is true. So Fake Sagan spends 5 minutes explaining that his lower sub count doesn't make him inferior, when Coughlin never said it does. And in the midst of this babbling, he shares this with us.
I love Fred. I'm a Fred fan.
Even more of a reason to respect the Fake Sagan. So then Fakey puts makeup on his face to make fun of Coughlin's blemish again. He admits that his voice is annoying as fuck, and tries to convince us that chicks dig it. He defends the fact that he called Coughlin a faggot on Blog TV. He compares his own drug abuse to Coughlin's and somehow thinks he comes out on top because he let an ADD drug get the best of him. He ran out and tried to kick a guy while he was down and ended up retreating and then going on the defensive. It's a sad display of epic fail. If Fake Sagan is actually leaving YouTube in a few weeks, it won't be after ridding the internet of Coughlin 666. It'll be after proving that he's not the king of ownage as he likes to claim. He's all bark and no bite. He's just an ugly, boring, and pretentious boxed wine-drinking fuckface with an annoying voice and a speech impediment.